Finally, 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 the boys are back in business. I always had faith that the day would come in which Gohan would finally leave his babysitting / hipster days behind for a greater cause. And now it's finally happened. I'm so excited. It's only gonna get better for him after this. I mean, that's the thing. If they mess him up in the... No, let's not go in there. I'm fresh. I'm excited about this episode. It was a great episode. Piccolo! We find out that he actually knows about the consequences of the tournament because Goku went to see him beforehand. He asks Goku for 2 senzu beans, and he doesn't use any of them in this episode. That's how good this episode is. It's just built up, and even then it's kind of like you still have a long way to go, kid. So pony up. I will admit, okay, that I'm a little bit biased towards Piccolo because he happens to be one of my favorite characters, but we do know from the good old days that Piccolo is one of the few people that knows how to put Gohan's ass to work. And he did this in this episode brilliantly. And I mean, to push Gohan the way that he did in this episode, it's obvious that he's made some pretty substantial gains. Now, you know, we're going to have to become used to the idea that every character participating in the tournament has made or will make some substantial gains. Otherwise, they will be completely fodderdized, you know, in the beginning stages of the tournament. And the thing that really matters here is whether or not the gains can be substantiated and explained through a more chronologically consistent standpoint, or whether they're just, you know, WTF crazy. So, ladies and gentlemen, out of the recruitment episodes that we've had thus far, all right, and taking into consideration a lot of the feedback that I've read, this is what the summary looks like. The Krillin gains are BS. 18 is fine. 18 is fine in more ways than one. 17 is iffy as hell. He's iffy, and I think Piccolo is fine too. I think there's nothing really to complain about in this episode. It's like the fandom be handing out report cards for power levels now. You get a pass, and you get a pass, and you what the... No, but seriously, in this episode, Krillin actually asked 18 to hold back a little. It's funny that he's asking his wife to hold back, and when he was up against Goku, he never did. But I guess that's a whole different context. And, you know, they're obviously going to be using combo attacks, and by the end of this episode, we actually find out that Piccolo and Gohan will also be kind of like formulating some plans to use some combos. And we're now only waiting for Roshi and Tenshin Han, so we'll see what happens with them. There's a very brief line of dialogue from Piccolo to Gohan saying that, you know, he's actually been training his ass off, or at least working for these gains, because he actually tells him, what do you think I've been doing when you were reading books and changing diapers? And technically speaking, they did use the same or similar explanation when it came to reintroducing 17. I think it was Dende who said, oh yeah, he's become a lot stronger, but the difference here is that the power dynamic between Goku and most of the characters on Earth is just completely skewed, like very, very skewed. And like Gohan and Piccolo going at it, especially because Gohan hasn't trained like at all in a very long time, it's more believable in Piccolo's case. So it's kind of like a case of the same explanation working better in one situation than in the other. Speaking of changing diapers, Vegeta actually does that to Bulla in this episode. It was a little bit of a comedy moment there with Whis and Beerus and Bulma. And Whis now, like, I guess knowing Bulma so well that, you know, he can actually just imitate her and her reaction to finding out about the consequences. So, you know, Beerus decides not to tell them anything because they would freak out. But I honestly think it's only a matter of time before they find out. I mean, Vegeta kind of has to find out at some point or another. Maybe Bulma and the others, okay, maybe not. But still, it's kind of like Vegeta, I'm pretty sure he has to, right? Anyway, going back to Gohan, Piccolo pretty much dominates Gohan in base. Even after, all right, he stays a while with all the gear that weighs him down and all that shit, and he just completely dominates. Gohan goes into Super Saiyan, Piccolo loses the gear, and he actually ends up choking the mode out of Gohan, just strangling him. So just based off of that alone, we can infer that Piccolo is above Lavenda level at this point. Pretty sure he's going to get higher than that. Both of them are going to get, you know, stronger. That's obvious. And I think that for suspense purposes, they're probably going to keep their true power under wraps until the tournament. You know, because otherwise it'd just be like, you don't want to spoil that too soon. So yeah, I think they're going to fight somebody in the tournament's going to force them to just use their full power. And I will admit that it was so cool to see Gohan use Mystic again. That was just so great. You know, the heavens, they open up for this mode. You got like sprinkles or some type of like glitter coming out of the sky. It was really cool. But even more important than that, at least to me anyway, is the fact that they're really setting up some character development for Gohan, because throughout this entire episode, Piccolo is constantly just throwing salt in this wound for Gohan, being like, "You're too arrogant. You're too arrogant. You got to change that attitude. This is what's happened to you in the past. You lower your guard in crucial moments. Do not do that until the fight is done. Don't do that." And now, like with this speech, I guess I have a different appreciation for the Gohan and Krillin thing that I didn't really like, because it is true. It's like, I guess I never really thought of it as that big of a flaw when it came to Gohan. But now that Piccolo just keeps stressing it, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is a really big issue. And I think Gohan needs to be mindful and aware that if he does that, he's gonna, it's the universe that's gonna get it. It's like a really big deal. So Piccolo consistently calls Gohan out throughout this episode, but that's because it's the best way to grow. If you don't acknowledge what your weaknesses are, you're never gonna grow. And he even calls out Gohan's mentality of like, I gotta get stronger. This has to work out because otherwise I can't protect people. And Piccolo just shuts that shit down. He's like, hey, cut it out, all right? You can't think like that. You have to acknowledge and accept the consequences of this tournament, and then win. That's the, because that gives you like a center. You're more level-headed that way. You understand the consequences, and then you don't give up. You concentrate, and you wait till the fight is done to lower your guard. And then even after that lecture, Gohan still makes the mistake. I love that scene so much because, for anyone who's ever struggled to learn anything, that's pretty much how it feels like sometimes. You make the mistake over and over again, and until you actually realize, okay, I gotta stop making this mistake. And so yeah, it just adds a sense of realism to the anime. And even after, with the ending of the episode, that's still an issue. It's not resolved. So again, it just feels a lot more realistic, more organic. So again, props to Piccolo, because it's obvious that there's some pretty serious improvements going on in regards to his character, not only as a fighter, but as a mentor and a father as well. We also get Cabby in this episode, driving a space cap, which I'm pretty sure, I can't be the only one who was surprised to see him. I actually was really surprised to see him, did not expect him at all, because the preview didn't tease that, or didn't tease him. And maybe that's the way that they should handle like some parts of the episodes, because that way, like we don't really know what to expect, and it's surprising. Kaba makes a very brief comment about Hit in terms of like why it's still pretty risky, even with Hit on their side. It could be like a problem because you have like 70 dudes coming at you. So he's in charge of recruiting, or at least, he goes and talks to his old captain, his former captain called Renzo. He has a bad knee. I think it's a bad ankle or something. And I'm guessing he's a Super Saiyan because of the relationship that we find out that Renzo has with female Broly. So female Broly finally revealed in this episode. We find out her name. It's, what is it, like the Salad Force? So everything in Dragon Ball Super has a theme now in terms of names, right? The Pride Troopers are like kitchen utensils or kitchen things, and the gods and their angels are like alcohol beverages, and now like Cabby or Kaba is based off cabbage, like it's vegetables now, because we find out that female Broly's name is Cauliflower. So female Broly, aka Cauliflower's potential, is actually a lot greater than Master Renzo, former Captain Renzo. And you see her eating a piece of meat there, a drumstick, and this is covering her chest. And I can't be the only one who thought about this. Is she actually like topless, or is there something covering her up and the meat is actually too big? So yeah, that's female Broly, Cauliflower. And it was confirmed that she was actually from Universe 6 a while back, because Champa was just angry and just shouting at Kaba, like, bring me more Saiyans. So we kind of knew that she was from Universe 6, but now it's just completely 100% confirmed. We know her name now, which is something that we didn't know. We actually had a scan. I'll just put it up here. Remember that scan? Yeah, so her outfit is actually a lot different. It's different in this episode, and it's also different in the scan, and it's also different in the trailer that we got when we actually saw her transform. Because I think what is she wearing? Red, I think, there? Actually, the outfit in the scan is the same one that we see in the episode. It's just a different shade. It's a different color. Which I guess kind of answers my topless question. So there you go. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. I thought it was really good. Honestly, I think that ever since the end of the Xeno exhibition match, I think this has been the best episode of Dragon Ball Super that we've gotten. That's just me, though. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. Appreciate that. Always helps out. And subscribing also helps out as well. So if you can just click that subscribe button, that'd be really cool. All right? Thank you. Have a good night, day, wherever you're at. Catch you later.